Hi everyone. In the last session, we have seen multi-threading. Okay. In this session, we will be covering the next concept called collection framework. Okay. So let's discuss like why we are like coming towards the collection framework, like what we are using before collection framework. Okay. So before we were using the concept of arrays to store the data. Okay. To store the data and to process the data from one layer to the other layer. Okay. So now what we are doing is we are going towards the collection. So why we are going towards the collection? What are the limitations we are having when we are using the arrays? Let's discuss the limitations first. Limitations limitations of arrays. Let's discuss that. Arrays. Arrays are fixed in size. Okay, which means that once we create an object of an array, we can't increase the size of an array, or we can't decrease the size of an array. So once you have initialized, once you have created an object of array, you cannot change the size. Okay, so that is one of the limitation we are facing actually. The second limitation is arrays can hold only homogeneous elements in the sense similar type of elements, like only in type of elements, or uh, float type of elements, or double type of elements. Anyhow, we have overcome this by introducing by using the concept of object arrays, even though we have limitations. Okay, so if we want to write, if there is a um, if there is a new functionality, actually you have to write your own implementation actually. Okay, so if any new concept is coming, actually, if they want to can say that let's say there is a new complete functionality is coming and you have to use arrays. Okay, you don't have any ready-made method support, so you have to implement the complete logic, okay, with the help of arrays. Okay, so fine. So the last limitation is, uh, as the arrays doesn't have any ready-made method support, as the arrays doesn't have any ready-made method support, so every time we have to implement our own logic actually. Okay, so to overcome all these limitations, whatsoever we have discussed, to overcome all these limitations, we are going towards this collection framework. What exactly collection framework is? So collection framework, let me take the new page. Collection framework. What is collection framework? Let's discuss that. So collection framework defines classes, several classes and interfaces. Collections defines several classes and interfaces which can be used. These class and interfaces can be used to represent a group of objects as a single entity. If we want to store the group of objects, it could be an employee object, it could be a product object, it could be a item object, it could be a car object, could be any type of object. Okay, if you want to represent a group of individual objects as a single entity, then you should go for collection framework. Okay, so the collection framework will be having the classes and it will be having the interfaces. We will be taking the help of these class and interfaces. We'll be grouping the objects into you know, a single collection. Okay, we will be storing all these objects into a single collection. Okay, which I mean to say. So, what are the advantages we are facing when we are using the collections? So, what are the advantages? Advantages. So let's see the advantages. We have a couple of advantages. Let's discuss the advantages first. Collections are growable in nature. So that is, based on our requirement, we can increase or decrease the size of the collection. Okay, let's say at first time I have created a collection the when we are creating an object of collection, the default capacity would be 16. Okay, so after storing the 16 values, okay, Anna, before storing the 16 values, it will be, okay, extending the size of the collection. Let's say 16 values it store. Now on one more value is it is coming, so it will be increasing the size of the collection into 2. So 16 into 2, it would be 32. So the collection size will be increasing. So let's say I'm removing the 10 objects. Out of 16, I'm removing the 10 objects. The size of the collection will be decreased to 6 now. Okay. So based on the incoming flow of data, it is increasing in size. And when we are removing some data, okay, from the collection, the collection size would be decreasing in nature. Okay, this is one of the advantage. Okay, so let's say, yeah, collections are both hold both homogeneous, homogeneous and heterogeneous values and heterogeneous elements. Hetero Heterogeneous elements or objects, you can say. Homogeneous in the sense similar type of elements, similar type of values. Could be a integer value, float value, it could be a double value, okay, it could be a character value, it could be a, if you comes to the similar type of elements, you can say that employee is also similar type of elements. So you will be storing the employee related data, okay, in a array using the object array concept. Okay, and we have a heterogeneous. So the collections will also store the both homogeneous values and heterogeneous values as well. Heterogeneous in the sense it will be storing the different types of objects into a collection. Okay, fine. So, but arrays, it will be storing the similar type of values. Okay, that's why it is not a good approach to use the arrays nowadays. Okay. So every collection class is implemented based on the some standard data structure. Hence, for every requirements, we have a ready-made method support. We have a ready-made method support. Okay, so we are not responsible to write the or provide the implementation actually. So you can use the ready-made methods and you can add the data to a collection, or you can remove the data from the collection, or you can update the data into the collection. Okay, so you can do wide variety of things. Okay, so these are the some of the advantages we have when we are using the collection framework. So compared to arrays, collections are better to use. Okay, so they are growable in nature. Once we declare the size of the collection, so based on the incoming flow of data, the collection size would be increasing in nature. So if we are removing the data from the collection, so it will be decreasing in nature. Okay, and the collection will be taking both homogeneous and heterogeneous elements. Homogeneous in the sense similar type of objects, heterogeneous in the sense different types of objects. We have employee is an object, product is an object. So employee is a different object and product is a different object. Item is a different object and car is a different object. So we will be storing the heterogeneous elements when we are using the collections. And the collections will be having the ready-made method support, as the collection framework and the related class and interfaces will be having the collection classes and interfaces are implemented based on some standard data structures. Okay, so the data structures already have the methods. Okay, you don't need to use the method, you don't need to write the new implementation. Okay, so you can use the ready-made methods which are given. So for adding the elements we have add method, for removing the elements we have a remove method, for taking the elements we have get method. So we have wide variety of methods actually. So for updating we have put method and all. Okay, so we have wide variety of methods, we can use it. We don't need to write a separate logic for adding element, removing element, deleting element. Okay, so fine. So these are the some of the advantages of using the collection framework. The okay, fine. Let's go to the next concept. Let's discuss the key interfaces we are having in the collection framework. Let's discuss the key interfaces. So what are they? We will be discussing in the next slide. Okay. So let's discuss the 9 key interfaces. Okay. 9 key interfaces we have in collection framework. I'll write CFW, collection framework. Okay, what are the 9 key interfaces? Let me increase the font size so that people can see this font. The first key interface is collection. The second is list, and the third is set, and the fourth one is sorted set, and fifth one is navigable set, and sixth one is queue, and the seventh one is map, map, and eighth one is sorted map, sorted map, and the last interface is navigable map. We'll try to complete these 9 key interfaces in this session only. Okay, so let's discuss these interfaces one by one. So what are the characteristics it will be taking it? So how they are going to add the data? We'll be discussing 4 points actually. How we are adding the data, how we are retrieving the data, how we are displaying the data. Okay, so all these what is all these characteristics will be looking in each and every interface. Okay, let's discuss one by one. So let's discuss first one, the collection. Okay. So what is a collection? Let me increase the font size over here. So what is collection? So what is collection? Collection is an interface. If we want to represent a data, if we want to represent a data in the form of row or column, we'll be using a collection. In other way, we can say that the other definition is collection is an interface. If we want to represent a group of individual elements as a single entity, then we should go for collection. So let's say, for example, I have these group of objects. So objects also you can call the elements also. So let's say I have a product is a different object, and I have I can say this uh, bus is a different object. I have a ticket is a different object. Okay. I have a product is a different object. I have a customer is a different object. Vendor is a different object. So if I want to keep these objects in a single entity, then you should go for collection. Okay. If you want to represent a group of individual objects, these are the individual objects, right? Employee is an individual object. Product is these are not similar, right? These are the individual objects actually. So if you want to represent a group of individual objects in a single entity called collection, we'll be using this collection interface. So what are the characteristics? What are the properties the collection will be taking it? So let's discuss in next slide. What are the properties it will be taking it? Properties of collection. What are the properties of collection? So let's discuss the properties one by one. Increase the font size. The first property is collection is the root element for all the collections actually. I'll do one thing, I'll draw a pie chart over here, or a flow diagram, so that you people can able to see that. Okay. So the hierarchy of the collections, how the collection hierarchy will be looking like that. Okay. Just give me a minute, I'll draw that. Yep. Let me record this one. So this is a hierarchy of one-dimensional collection framework, and this is a hierarchy of two-dimensional collection framework. Why I'm saying this is a one-dimensional and this is a two-dimensional in the sense. So one-dimensional collection framework will be storing the data in the form of row or column form, row or column format. But when it comes to the 2D collections, okay, 2D collections will be storing the data in the form of key, value pair. Okay, it will be storing the data in the form of key comma value pair. We'll be learning this thing actually. Okay, remember this one. So collection, list, set, sorted set, queue, navigable set, these are the single dimensional collection framework. They will be storing the data in the form of row or a column. Okay, so when it comes to the 2D collection framework, this is a two-dimensional 2D, also called as a two-dimensional collection framework, which will be storing the data in the form of key and value pair. Okay, we used to call as this is as a key value pair. Okay, they will the map and sorted map, navigable map, these are the interfaces which will be storing the data in the form of key value pair. Okay, we'll be seeing that. We'll be jumping to the topic regarding the 2D collection framework. Let's discuss this 1D collection framework now. Okay, so let's go. Yep. So let's see the properties of the collection. So collection is the topmost element. If you see over here, collection is the topmost element in this hierarchy. Okay. And collection, let me write this. Collection is the topmost element in the hierarchy. Right? You can see the top collection is the topmost element in the hierarchy. Okay. So we can an object of we can add the data an object of we can directly write that using collection we can add the data or element or object in um, in the end only in the end only. So we will be adding the data at the end only. Now when it comes to the displaying the data, okay, when it comes to the displaying the data, so it will be displaying the data in random order. So using collection we can display the data in random order. Random order is in the sense we don't know in which order it is going to display the data. It is an alternative kind of thing. Okay. So which means that whatever the order you have added, it will not going to display the data. Okay. Now, if you want to retrieve the data, you have added the data. Now you want to retrieve the data from the collection. So how you will be retrieving it? So you will be retrieving it only in a forward direction only. Forward, backward, right? It is, yeah. Yeah, it is forward only. Collection is a forward only. Yeah, forward direction. Forward direction only. So we can retrieve the data only in forward direction only. Okay. So in one shot, I can say that if we want to represent a group of individual objects, okay, as a single entity, if you want to represent a group of individual objects as a single entity, where duplicates are allowed, and displaying the data in random order and retrieving the data only in forward direction, then you should go and use this collection interface. Okay. So the collection is the root interface for all the for all the sub interfaces. You can see here, collection is the root interface for all these child interfaces. Okay, for all these child interfaces. So whatever the methods available in this collection, which will be given to this set, list, sorted set, navigable set, which mean to say that whatever the methods available in your collection interface, okay, it will be given to the child interfaces as well. So collection will be having some methods actually. Let's discuss the methods, what the collection will be having it. So methods. So collection is having a method add, which will be taking an object, could be element also, you can say object or element, and it will once it added once we are adding an element to the collection, it will be returning a boolean value. So if it is added an object to the collection, so it will be returning a true. If the object is not added to the collection, it will be returning false. So we'll be seeing a real time, we'll be seeing an example on this one actually. So as of now, just understand that we will be using add method to adding an element to the collection. Okay, fine. So okay, fine. Let me discuss the next method. So we have the next method as the add is done. Then we discuss remove. That's fine too. Yeah. So remove. If you want to remove an object, if you want to remove an object, you want to remove an object from the collection. You have added an object and you want to remove the object. Okay. So you will be using this remove method. Okay. So for adding an object, you'll be passing something like this collection dot add of, let's say for example 10. So 10 will be added to the collection. So if you want to add 20, so you'll say collection dot add of 20. Okay. So if you want to add 30 as well, you can add 30. Collection dot add of 30. Okay. If you want to add any custom object, you can add also. So collection dot, for example, I want to add a employee object. I'll say add of employee. Okay. In the similar way, if you want to add product object, you can use collection dot add of employee. Product. Okay. So let's say collection dot add of product. Okay. Let's say I want to remove 30. I want to remove 30 from the collection. So I'll say collection dot, I'll say collection dot remove of 30. So 30 will be removed from the collection. Similarly, if I want to remove the, employee object from the collection, I'll say collection dot remove of employee. Okay. So the add method will be used to add an element or an object to the collection. If I want to remove an element from the collection, I'll be using a remove method. Okay. So whatever the object I want to remove, whatever the number I want to remove, I'll directly pass that number to the remove method. So that remove method will be removing that element from the collection. So once it is removing the element from the collection, okay, if it is removed successfully, it will be returning true. Okay. It will be returning true. If it is not removing the collection, it will be friendly. For example, let's say there is, let's say for example, let me say there is a collection. I want to remove the element 50. I want to remove the element 50, but it is the element 50. I haven't added the element 50 over here, right? So in this case, it will fail. It will return false. You can't find it the element. It will return the false. Okay. So add method will be used to add an element and remove method is used to remove an element. Okay. And fine. If you want to get an element, okay, we have, for example, I have added these many elements, right? 10, 20, 30 and employee and the product object. Now I want to retrieve this employee object. So I'll directly pass collection dot get of what object I want, employee object. So it will return the employee object. Okay. So it will return the employee object. So I'll say employee. Actually, the method is something like this: public object get of, you can pass the object name. Okay. So this will return the object. We will be typecasting this object to employee directly. So employee equals to, I'll convert this to employee. Okay. So this is called explicit typecasting. If you want to convert our super class to our base class, so we can convert it. But we can't convert our base class to super class. Okay. So fine. So yeah, that's all about this get method, remove method and the add method. Okay, so we will be discussing the next concept, list interface, in the next video. Thank you, everyone.